All right, let's talk about n8n. Today, we're going to peek under the hood and deconstruct something that's absolutely fundamental, the hidden language of its data. Honestly, understanding this is the real key to unlocking some seriously powerful automations.
You know, it can feel like pure magic, right? You connect a few nodes, press a button, and poof, things just happen. But underneath it all, it's not magic. It's just structure. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic so you can build smarter, more efficient workflows. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the two most basic ways data is organized. Then, we'll see how n8n has its own special standard called items. After that, we'll look at how the nodes actually process that data. And finally, we'll get to the really cool part, how you can take control using expressions.
Okay, let's get right into it. When you boil it all down, almost all the data you'll ever touch in an automation comes in one of two fundamental shapes. First up is something called JSON. Now, don't let the name scare you. It's just a simple way to store info using what are called key-value pairs, all wrapped up in these curly braces. The best way to think about a single JSON object is like a digital ID card for one person. It has specific labels and the information that goes with them. And here's what that actually looks like. Super simple, right? You have a key, which is the label, in this case, first_name, and it points to a value, the actual information, which is Emily. It's a clean, simple structure you'll see all over the internet.
And here's a really powerful way to get your head around it. A single JSON object is pretty much identical to one single row in a spreadsheet. The keys are just your column headers, and the values are the data that fills in that row. Simple as that.
And it gets even cooler. A value doesn't just have to be simple text. It can be a whole other JSON object nested inside. So you could have a location key, and its value could be another little JSON with the city and country. It's a fantastic way to keep complicated data nice and tidy.
And getting to that nested information, oh, it's a piece of cake. You just use what's called dot notation. You name the outer object, add a dot, name the inner object, add a dot, and grab the data you need. Super straightforward.
Okay, that was concept one. The second basic data form is a list, and it's exactly what it sounds like, just a collection of things, all wrapped in square brackets. So if a JSON is like one person's ID card, a list is the whole roster of everyone in the group.
So, we've got our two building blocks, JSONs and lists. Now, let's see how n8n combines them into its own powerful standard. This is where it all starts to click.
See, n8n takes those two concepts we just learned and smashes them together. The universal data format for every single node for pretty much everything you do is a list of JSONs. That's it. That's the foundation for everything else.
And n8n has a special name for each of those JSON objects inside the list. It calls them items. An item is the single universal package of data that your workflow is going to operate on. If you remember one word from today, make it item. It's that important.
And this visual just brings it all home. A list that contains 3 items is exactly the same as a spreadsheet with 3 rows. The first row is the item for Emily, the second is for John, and so on. Each column is just a key-value pair inside that item's JSON.
So we've got our data perfectly packaged into a nice list of items. Now for the big question. How do the little engines of our automation, the nodes, actually use them?
All right, listen up, because this is the golden rule of n8n. If you understand this, you understand how workflows, well, work. With just a couple of exceptions, every node in your workflow will execute once for every single item it receives. That's the core mechanic.
Think of it like an assembly line. If a list of 3 items shows up at a node, that node is going to do its job 3 separate times. Once on the first item, once on the second, and once on the third. Then, it sends out a brand new list containing those 3 transformed items.
Now we get to the really fun part. We know the nodes run on each item, but how do we tell a node exactly what to do with the data that's buried inside that item?
I mean, if you're sending an email, how do you tell the email node, hey, for the greeting, go grab the first name, and for the address field, use the email key? How do you point to that specific piece of data? The answer is with expressions. These little snippets of code are how you talk to the data inside each item. They're how you reach in and pull out the exact values you need.
So an expression is just any bit of code that you wrap in these double curly braces. That special syntax is like a signal to n8n that says, hey, don't treat this as just plain text. This is a command. Go find the data I'm pointing to for the item you're currently working on.
And this is where the real power kicks in. You can mix and match these expressions with regular text to create totally dynamic outputs. You can build a custom Slack message, a personalized email. You can build anything you can imagine by just pulling in the data directly from each item as it passes through.
And for those of you who want to go a step further, you can actually use JavaScript functions right inside your expressions. Want to make a last name all uppercase? Or calculate a new date? You can do it all right there. It's incredibly flexible.
Okay, let's just recap the 4 core building blocks. Data comes in as JSONs and lists. In n8n, each JSON gets bundled into an item. Your nodes process those items one at a time, and you use expressions to control the data inside each one. You master these 4 ideas, and you've basically mastered the foundation of n8n.
You see, understanding this structure isn't just about some technical details. It's like learning a new language. You can now read the language of automation. So the only question left is, what story are you going to build with it?